Puerto Rico is the smallest of the Greater Antilles. It is actually an archipelago, with Puerto Rico being the largest island. Using the cardinal points as reference, we can see the Cordillera Cays and Vieques and Culebra, the two larger islands. To the west, we can see Mona, Monito, and Desecheo, and to the south, Caja de Muertos. Through these images, you will get to know more about this archipelago with emphasis on the coastal resources of Puerto Rico. Due to its geological origin as a result of volcanic activity that took place 60 million years ago, and subsequent events during which the island was underwater, the contour of its coast varies greatly. One example of this difference is the coastal points and promontories that are part of the interior mountains that reach out to the sea. On the low-lying shores at sea level, there are coastal plains which were formed by materials eroded from the mountains. Coastal plains have rich fertile lands, plus numerous mudflats, swamps, and lagoons. The bays and inlets have been carved out by the action of the sea. They are of great economic importance for marine transportation, because that's where port facilities are located. The most important bays in Puerto Rico can be found in Guayanilla, Guánica, Tallaboa, San Juan, Ponce, Mayagüez, Boquerón, Arroyo, Humacao, Jobos, Patillas, and Yabucoa. Rocky shelf shores are festooned with half-moon coves. The great variety of coastal shapes has allowed the development of several ecosystems teeming with wildlife. Let me show you. On coasts with a hard, submerged shelf, clear water, and good water flow, we can find coral reefs. Coral reefs are one of the most productive ecosystems on Earth. Corals are marine animals formed by the symbiotic relationship between microscopic algae, zooxanthellae, and the polyp or live part of the coral. The hard outer skeleton that protects the live coral is made of calcium carbonate. There are two types of coral, hard or rock coral and soft coral. What we call the coral reef is a complex ecosystem of hard coral skeletons, calcareous algae, sponges, and other marine organisms housing an extraordinary number of other animal species, from creeping invertebrates to swimming fish. The best examples of coral reefs can be found on Mona Island, La Parguera, Caja de Muertos, La Cordillera, Culebra, and Vieques. Coral reefs are of great ecological and financial value to the island. They protect the coast from strong swells and high waves, modifying the direction and speed of sea currents. They serve as home for many species valuable for commercial and sport fishing, and they provide a space for marine recreation. That's why it's so important to preserve them. Seagrass prairies grow in shallow waters with silty bottoms between the reefs and the seashore. Seagrasses need sunlight to grow, and they are more abundant in waters where there is not much sediment. They can grow in very shallow water where wave action is low and up to depths of 30 meters in clear water. In the coastal waters of Puerto Rico, as in many other Caribbean islands and Florida, there are several species of seagrass. Turtle grass, Thalassia testudinum, so called because the hawksbill and the green sea turtle feed on it, is the most common species in our waters. As in large terrestrial prairies, marine grasslands feed communities of herbivorous animals such as sea urchins, conch, and fish that forage there. Many species of green, brown, and red algae also share the space with the marine grasses. Marine grasses are of great ecologic and economic value for us. The main productive activity of marine grasses, the conversion of light energy into chemical energy by photosynthesis, is very high, which contributes significantly to the food webs of the coastal and marine. Different types of shrimp, crabs, shellfish, and juvenile fish can be found here. Many species of fish and seabirds feed on marine grasses. One important feature of the seagrass prairies is that they protect the coasts from erosion. When seagrasses are eliminated, wave action energy is discharged directly against the shore, producing erosion. The existence of seagrass prairies in good condition along the coast improves water quality. These prairies ensure the clarity of the water because they trap the loose sediment that washes to the shore. We find mangroves in places where wave action energy is low and the bottom consists of loose sediment. Mangroves are coastal forests extending from the seashore to several kilometers inland. These forests consist of mangroves, very special trees that can tolerate the high concentration of salt in seawater and take root in swampy soil. Mangroves are strictly tropical. They may be found in direct contact with the sea, along riverbanks, or bordering coastal lagoons. The best examples of mangroves can be found in public forests and natural reserves such as the ones in Boquerón, Lajas, and Guánica on the west and southwest, Hobos Bay National Estuarine Research Reserve in Aguirre, the Humacao Natural Reserve, Las Cabezas de San Juan Natural Reserve in Fajardo, Mosquito Bay in Vieques, and the Piñones State Forest in Loíza. In Puerto Rico, as in the rest of the Caribbean, there are 4 different species of mangrove trees. The red mangrove, Rhizophora mangle, which grows near the shoreline. The black mangrove, Avicennia germinans, which grows in mudflats more inland. The white mangrove, Laguncularia racemosa, which also grows in mudflats, and the buttonwood mangrove, Conocarpus erectus, which grows on the driest areas along the coast. Mangroves are home to a great diversity of animals. For example, we can find birds in the tree canopies, among them the mangrove canary, several heron species, and pelicans. Some of the birds that can be seen on land are clapper rails, green herons, and night herons. The mudflats area is also home to different types of crabs, such as the fiddler crab and the common crab. Several fish species are found in the channels that form between the mangrove islets. Some of these fish, such as the lane snapper, the yellowtail snapper, the mutton snapper, and the white mullet, are important to fishing in Puerto Rico. Red mangrove roots in the water provide a habitat for many marine animal and algae species. Many species, such as lobsters and groupers, that as adults live in the reefs, spend their juvenile stage in the mangroves. That's why the mangrove functions like a marine animal nursery. On the drier portions of the mangroves on the southwest coast of Puerto Rico, the low rainfall allows the formation of salt flats as a result of evaporation. In Cabo Rojo, there are salterns or salt flats that produce salt for domestic and industrial use. The way mangroves grow in flooded land helps to stabilize this land and protect the coast from marine erosion. If the mangroves are eliminated to develop the land, we are actually losing a valuable portion of our coastal resources. Coastal lagoons are shallow bodies of water associated to the sea. They are separated from the sea by a sandbar, and they often run parallel to the shore. Some mangrove lagoons, such as La Parguera, Lajas, and Bahía Mosquito in Vieques, are bioluminescent and attract tourists from all over the world. Bioluminescence is a phenomenon caused by the presence in the water of microscopic organisms called dinoflagellates that emit light when disturbed. The intensity of the bioluminescence is best seen in places with little nightlight pollution or when there is no moon. Lagoons serve as a refuge for many species of aquatic native and migratory birds. They also provide a place for the reproduction of fish and other animals important to the economy of Puerto Rico. Coastal lagoons have the capacity to contain runoff waters, providing protection from flooding to low-lying areas, thus the importance of preserving them. Estuaries are another natural resource of great importance. These are coastal places where fresh water from land mixes with salt water from the sea. These shallow, calm water places are rich in nutrients that stream down from the rivers. Estuaries serve as a refuge for many native and migratory aquatic birds, and they serve as natural nurseries for many species of marine fish, crustaceans, and shellfish that spend part of their lives there. The calmness and stillness of the estuaries are a great recreation attraction for many people. Wetlands are transition areas between terrestrial and aquatic ecosystems where the land is often flooded at least part of the time. The terms marshes and swamps are used to describe specific wetlands. Wetlands contain vegetation specially adapted to these conditions, cattails for example. When herbs and bushes grow in the wetland, it is called a marsh. If trees are the dominant vegetation, bloodwood for example, they are called swamps. Wetlands play an important role in flood control on low-lying areas thanks to their capacity to absorb and retain huge amounts of water. Can you imagine what would happen to our island without this valuable resource? Rocky coast ecosystems develop where mountains reach down to the sea, or there are remnants of rocky formations on the shore. Here, wave energy and the tide range, the rise and fall of water level, determines zonation of the organisms. Some organisms can tolerate wave assault, but cannot tolerate drying and have mechanisms to cling tightly to the rocks. They occupy the zone immediately below or where the waves break against the rock. Others resist drying and live above the wave line. Rocky coasts offer scenic views that are great tourist attractions, and they are the source of beach ecosystems. Beach ecosystems are formed by large deposits of loose sediment that are moved from place to place by the effect of wave action on the beach or the wind on the dunes. They are also environments where the marine and land features interact. The fact that beach sediments are loose does not allow the growth of plants with soft bodies or the neat soil to which their roots can cling. The most notable biotic component of the beach is the fauna, especially crabs and clams with protective carapaces and shells around their bodies. The behavior of the beach fauna is an important element for the adaptation process of the ever-shifting sands and the water level range as the result of tide movement. The animals in these ecosystems live buried in the sand and they come out at low tide. Dunes are large deposits of loose sand formed by the action of the wind blowing from the seashore to the elevated beach. Dune vegetation, which consists of creeping vines, is well adapted to the shifting sand. In fact, the existence of these plants on the older dunes helps stabilize the sand by preventing or hindering sand movement. This valuable natural resource is the most effective coastal barrier against waves and swells. Only remnants remain of the long line of dunes that extended along the north coast of Puerto Rico from Loíza to Isabela. In Carolina, Barceloneta, Arecibo, Quebradillas, and Isabela. The disappearance of this valuable resource is the result of large-scale sand extraction for the construction industry. The coastal zone of Puerto Rico, one of its most valuable resources. Its importance is not only due to its beauty and diversity, but also to its huge social, economic, and scientific value. The variety of the ecosystems and natural habitats that they sustain are an invitation to preserve them.